Okay, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Inside Scoop, where we'll be covering most projects built on Juno and in the growing interchain. I am thrilled today to have with us, we've got George and Kaku from Yieldmos. Do I call you Kaku or we go with a different name?
Kaku's great.
Kaku's great, cool. We're joined by George and
Yep.
Kaku from the Yieldmos team today, just to go over a little bit about what they're building around the interchain and on Juno. So, first, before we get into it, how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, things are doing great. How are you?
Yeah, it's conference season, isn't it? So I think we've rescheduled about 5 meetings, us lot. So I do apologise first of all. I would always come back and reschedule something, but I'm glad to be here with you now. Um, Other than that, yeah, we're just keeping busy and keeping pushing the word on Juno and helping you guys as well promote some what you guys are developing as well. So I'll go with order on the screen, right? So we'll go with Kaku. Tell us a little bit about yourself, mate, and what you do on the project.
So George and I are both the two co-founders. So I do most, if not all, of the front end work and all the smart contract work that we've been kind of working on quite quietly and have not released publicly yet.
Awesome. Okay, so one of the co-founders and a front end dev and some smart contract worked in the project, so highly skilled. George, what about yourself?
I'm also the other co-founder, and I probably consider myself to be more back end, more on the SDK. I think I'm a little bit more proficient with the Go side of things, and yeah,
Mhm.
that's me.
So tell us a little bit about Yield, Moss. I'm familiar with it, to be honest, but for the community here, give us like a couple of minute pitch deck on it. What's it doing and how's it benefit users on the interchain? And my
Sure,
door goes. Give us 1 second. We'll just pause that. Yes, sorry about that. It was my luggage got lost and it's now been returned. Thank God.
sure. Yieldmos is right now. Yieldmos is basically just a staking rewards auto compounder that leverages Auth to do it in a non-custodial manner, meaning that you don't have to give us custody or ownership of your assets for us to be able to do what we do. You're just giving us very specific permissions, delegated permissions, basically, to be able to claim your rewards and then stake them with your validators of choice. We also allow some flexibility with how those rewards are delegated. You can choose to delegate 10% to validator A, 20% to validator B, and have 70% stay in your wallet. That's sort of what we've brought to market so far. And Mark, do you want to tell us about some of the new exciting things that you've built out that's upcoming?
Yeah. So I mean, in the new version of Yieldmos, we have an outpost specifically for Juno, and the whole goal is for Yieldmos to be uh, to kind of cover the market with non-custodial asset management, right? So whatever you might want to do with your funds, whether that be DCA, dealing with your Juno staking rewards or rewards that you're getting elsewhere on Juno. Maybe you have some Juno stake or some Wind LP rewards or some Wind staking rewards. You can come to our new outpost and configure exactly what you want done with that. Do you want to split some of that and go to provide liquidity in some pools? Do you want to send some to some other wallet addresses? Do you want to just do swaps? Do you want to stake? Kind of anything that is available on Juno, we should be able to automate and let you do that with your funds on Juno. So I think Juno will be our first one that we put public. So I'm very excited about it.
Man, that sounds great. I'll just stop you there. So we already have good services like yourselves and like restake and stuff with the power of Auth. So Auth is an SDK module, I believe. My wallet then gets authorized to be able to claim and restake rewards by another. What is it? It's controlling it.
So in the simple case, if we were just talking about staking compounding, like if you come to our app and you sign up for Juno Staking Compounding today, you'll give us permission just to kick off delegation and withdrawing rewards on your behalf. So it would function just as if you had done it for yourself, only we automate that.
Yeah.
And these same sorts of privileges are what we have the kind of 2.0 infrastructure based off of, right? So you can, with all of these incredibly complex things that you might want to go in between with your tokens on,
Mhm.
we have very specific permissions for you to give us to enable any of those.
Awesome. And you're now going to touch into not only staking, you're now going to branch out and start using some liquidity pools and authorizing. I mean, this is getting a wee bit more complicated. How does it all work in terms? Is it the same again? You just grant the wallet the ability to get control. I don't want to say control because that's not a nice way of saying it, because then it sounds like someone's controlling your wallet. Maybe touch on a little bit of that for me, Kaku.
Yeah, so it very much works the same way as the staking compounding, although you typically give access to different message types. So for example, if you want us to be compounding or putting your funds into a wind pool, right? You're going to give us permission to broadcast the contract messages for the wind
Yeah.
LP on your behalf. And this is pretty granular because each wind pool has its own contract. So you would give us permission specific to those contracts. So you're not giving us just, an open-ended permission to have you interact with any contract. It's those specific ones. So this is kind of a way different way of approaching things than people typically do. If you think of like liquid staking token, right? You have no kind of ultimate custody over the underlying fund and kind of no say over what happens on the low level, but we're opening up all of the customization there. So we're super excited.
Man, that's great work. Are you still in the progress of like building the contract side of it, or have you actually got the contracts messages working and you just kind of need to give a bit of a UI on that? What is your status at the moment?
Yeah, so there's a probably 5 contracts that we have to deploy. I think 4 of them are up, and we just have not been pointing anyone to them. And we have a UI to build, and then there's one that's still in progress. So we're super close here.
Doing really well, man. Doing really well. How do you guys get support on the interchain? Do you guys run your own validator or anything like that? I mean, how have you guys been surviving in this bear market?
Great question. It's been a combination, I think, of 3 different things. First is sort of self-funding. 2 is some grants from the ecosystem, and 3 is a little bit of sacrifice.
Yeah. I know it's all you can do. If you do something you love doing, and you kind of like, believe me, man, I've been in the same position. I've had to go back and forth on different jobs, and I've not left the industry because I do believe on it. I do believe we'll see a light at the end. I've seen a light at the end of the tunnel now. But yeah, I mean, it's some projects I'm just like gobsmacked at the effort they put in, and yeah, they just seem to be scrapping at the bare minimum of, there's not much liquidity going around, is there? How do you see yourself in like end of the year? Do you think you can still be around to keep marching forward? And then, have you got something in place for your project takes fees or anything at all like that?
Yeah, great question. With the release of these new outposts, we'll be introducing a take rate, a fee that we'll be charging users for the automation and the time that we're saving them, and the extra return that we're making them. And the future is even more hopeful because we are introducing a fee. We are starting to be collecting revenue, which should allow us to start supporting ourselves. And Juno isn't the only network that we're going to be releasing an outpost on.
Yeah.
We also have our sights set on Osmosis and Kujira and and any other network that supports smart contracts, right? So the
Yeah, for
more
sure.
networks that
Absolutely.
launch, the more primitives, the more sort of surface area that we have.
This is great stuff.
Agree. And like, just to kind of add on to that, like, yeah, we've had to kind of have some hard conversations about kind of what you said, like in a year, where do we look, or, how are we looking?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like you got to you got to be realistic, man. You know, and I'm well aware you would have had these discussions, and yeah, I've got a concern for everyone who builds on the interchain. Like, we need to keep people here. Oh, it's all well dangling a carrot and saying, yeah, we'll be back on a bull run and everything will be sweet. Well, what if it doesn't come back? Do you know what I mean? You need to be realistic on these things. Let's jump in. If you can you show us a little demonstration on like Yieldmos? Like, show me as a user what I would do, and I've got the gist of it so far, right? But say we're trying to build the next bit of content for everyone moving into the next bull market, right? Or the next sort of like we get this new interest in liquidity, it starts wanting to delve into the cosmos. So I might point them towards Yieldmos and say, well, you want a one-stop shop. Here is the application you could try. So give us a little demonstration on a process on how easy it is.
Sure thing. So first of all, there is no like lockup of your token with Yieldmos. You would just like stake it with a validator, with your favorite validator, and which we can do from our site, or you could do it from Kepler or whatever your favorite staking dashboard is.
I've got to stop you there. How is there no lockup period?
There's the normal lockup period for staking, which is the 28 days that Juno has. But outside of that,
Yes.
there's nothing additional. There's no extra.
Okay.
There's nothing that we impose, right? There's nothing on top of that.
All right, got it.
Right.
I thought you
Because you're
solved
not
the
right.
big
So
problem there.
so if we take a step back to the non-custodianless, the auth-Z-ness of all of this, the tokens stay in your wallet. You stake the tokens from like yourself, like you are the one that actually does the staking. And then you're authorizing Yieldmos to be able to claim your rewards and then stake them to the validators that you choose. So there's nothing extra on top of what just the base network imposes as far as staking lockup goes. So if you come here to yieldmos.com, this is our front page. Click on Launch App. It will take you to a list of chains that we currently support. Almost all of these are going to be, with the exception of Osmosis LP, all of these are just going to be the native staking token. And if you go and select the strategy for whatever, once you have, you can see here that I have I'm staked with 6 validators, and one of them is inactive, and we'll come back to that in a moment. In this particular screen, this first screen, you can choose to delegate an extra amount to these validators, right? Which you can do or you don't have to do. I'm going to skip that. And then I'm going to come here, and here it's asking me, what do I want to do with my staking rewards? In this case, I can actually choose to do, pick out some settings. And let's say I don't want to stake with any of those people. I want 100% of my rewards from those validators that I'm staked with to go 100% of that to go into simple staking. So I'll do that. I'll put in my email address if I want to get an email every single day that everything's running. And then I'll confirm, and you're probably not going to see the Kepler pop-up that just came up. I want to approve
that's fine.
this transaction in Kepler. Once I do, give it a second, and you should see a TX broadcast successful. And now the screen has updated to now show the Osmo strategy, right? And then as you're setting this up, we notice that one of my validators that I'm staking with is inactive. So you can actually go here. There's a cool little drop down. Go to redelegate. Choose a validator that you want to redelegate from. Oops, I clicked on the wrong validator. There we go. I'll go to EcoStake. So this is telling you that I'm going to redelegate from validating chaos to eco stake, and I'm going to do the max amount, and I'm going to redelegate. Again, you're not seeing the Kepler pop-up
Yeah.
that's coming up. I approve that, and the transaction gets signed and broadcast.
Yeah.
And we have success. There it is. And then I can click on,
Good.
you can actually click on this link and it will take you to MintScan,
Yeah.
showing you what everything that just happened, right? So
Yeah.
and that's really it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm just trying to think, is it adding more fees to what you're doing, or you're just simply calling the same messages as you would just staking normally? That's a basic strategy there, isn't it? So I presume it's just the same fee you'd be using there. I know you're going to touch on a little bit more strategies, like can you bond longer, if that makes sense? Because I know with if I use something else, like you can restake, enable it, and keep it for a bit longer, like maybe 365 days of the year, and you can just let it run that long. Is there more fees involved for these kind of different strategies, or is it just the same each time?
At the moment, nothing that we do charges you a fee. With
Yeah.
the
Okay.
with the release of the Outpost contracts, there will be a fee.
Yeah.
And as far as the amount of time, all of the strategies will be valid for 3 months, 92 days. That's what the expires in is.
Yeah.
And that is because we knew that we were eventually going to be migrating everybody to a completely different system on how all this is
Yeah.
done. So we chose 90 days as sort of a middle ground to give people time to reactivate with the new contracts. So with the
Yeah.
Outpost contracts, there's not going to be a 90-day, there's not going to be a 3-month time period, a limit, right? That's going to most likely allow even indefinite time periods, with no expiration.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to do that for you in perpetuity.
What's this Osmosis LP? Is this you now delving into the new upgrade you're going to be doing? Is this a bit of alpha we're seeing here, or is this the actual live version we're looking at now? Because I'm seeing like Osmosis LP over 1,000% APR. What's going on there, man?
That's been live for some time.
Yeah.
That's just one of the pools that's paying out a reward that high at the moment. So
That's good.
if the reward token, there's one little caveat. If the reward token that the pool is paying out is one of the 2 tokens in the pool, we'll be able to compound that for you. If it's not,
Nice.
we don't have the ability to compound that for you. But we should
Awesome.
with the Osmosis outpost, we should have that ability. But that's probably going to come after
Yeah.
the Juno one.
I would like to talk a little bit, if you don't mind, how you guys going to operate, because Juno's really, along with Osmosis and potentially another couple of chains, are really starting to press on with mesh security. Are you guys got anything in mind on how it's all going to work? Because eventually it's going to be, with Alliance from Terra, right? I was doing a little bit of listening in to the conversations at HackWasm, and I was asking Ethan, the only difference with Alliance and Mesh would be Alliance is sort of one-way stream, whereas Mesh security can be both ways. It's a little bit omni, okay? So you could actually say you guys launch a project on Juno, right? And you go, right, okay, we've found our project market fit, everything's all good. We're going to go off now and start our own chain, but we're going to use mesh security to get the Juno validator set to give us security. Now, this is where it gets kind of complicated. Transactions in security and staking, or even liquidity on other chains, can go back and forth. So you might have tokens on your chain, say the Yieldmos token, right? You can start using them tokens and start sharing them around to the Juno stakers as well, which is pretty interesting stuff. Have you thought about anything on this yet, mesh security? Because I do think it's going to be the future going forward. Hence why we're bullish on the interchain. Yeah, so I'd like some thoughts on that if you guys have any. How you see a world of the interchain? Like it might be mesh, it might be alliance, it could be ICA.
Yeah, I think I think there's a couple questions there. I'm all for more options when it comes to sort of security paradigms. Replicated security is just one of them. Mesh security is going to be another. Um, I haven't looked too much into the differences between Alliance and mesh security, but if it's another security paradigm, I'm all for it. The
Mhm.
more options and the more flexibility and the more features and the more benefits that devs have when building things in the interchain, that just makes the whole ecosystem, that much stronger, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
As far as what we're gonna do, if it makes sense, I don't think we've like taken the time to sort of analyze all three of those paradigms and see. I guess there's four paradigms, right?
Mhm.
Because you can also launch your own chain. So
Yeah.
really, I think we still have some work to do and see if it makes sense for us to be sort of relying on any of those things, right? Um,
Yeah.
there's some design decisions I think that need to be taken into account, and we're gonna move forward with what we feel is best for our network. Um,
Yeah.
if that's mesh security, great. If not, then so be it. But that doesn't change the fact that we'll still, because of the interchain and IBC and ICA, like you said, that still allows us to interact with all of the networks that support those features, and allow that the flexibility. And if mesh security or Alliance introduce a new sort of DeFi primitive or whatever, that's great. The more of those, the more things we can do.
Awesome. Um, is it? I love Kajira as well, man, and I love Osmosis. I love them all, man. They're great. They're great projects, to be fair. Um, like, is it easy enough to create outposts on all these chains, or do you just like how do you do it, man? Do you know what I mean? Do you just kind of speak to the developers on each chain and go, yeah, can we deploy? Do you deploy a smart contract that you've written onto it? Is that how it works?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's smart contract based, and largely it's just taking a look at what's available on chain, figuring out what we kind of see people wanting to have access to,
Mm-hmm.
and then coding that all together. At this point, I've done enough of them where I have some like quality of life
Yeah.
kind of utilities built to help with making them up faster. But really, it's pretty one off per chain because every chain is going to have a different dex on it. It's going to have different right on Juno. You guys have NetADAO, you guys have like Spark IBC campaigns, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty unique compared to what you have over on Osmosis, over on Kujira. So they really are, as much as I can automate, I automate, but there's
Yeah.
a large portion of it that is very one-off, very handmade. So,
Cool.
and I think that's the best place for one of these chains when we start kicking off an outpost for these chains. It's like helping point out because I think Kujira is really cool, but I'm not on Kujira every day. So,
Yeah.
having someone from there be able to point out to me, these are like the really cool things that we want everybody to have access to, helps
Yeah.
a ton. So, yeah. And maybe at some point we'll give you a tour around our Juno outpost before we release, and you could let us know if we're
I would
missing
love that.
any big project. Yeah.
Be sure to get you on again, man. If once you create the outpost, and yeah, just do a live demo, man. Absolutely. How's your like developer experience? I got to ask this for a Juno perspective. Like, is there anything you like to see improve on the network in terms of like developer experience, or is it easy enough to find the resources you need to build smart contracts? And what I'm gathering when I speak to loads of projects on Juno is, yeah, they're all great developers at developing their application, but what they found most problematic is the getting it to the blockchain side. It's like support for Cosm JS and stuff. There's just no much resources out there. Is there any feedback you could give to we can put the word out to try and help improve that, or like if there was a list of things for us to try and get into a working order of what's prioritized first? Because we need to make developer experience a lot better, and that's something that we're trying to do now. Um, I'm curious to know if there's anything that you guys maybe had difficulty with or anything.
Anything come to mind for you, Joe?
Yeah, Joe's the SDK man.
Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
was I was a little surprised that the fees on Juno got hiked by such a large amount, what seemed like out of nowhere. That sort of
Mhm.
threw me for a loop. As a
Yeah.
You're bringing up the spicy drama
yeah,
now.
hell yeah.
Well, that's fine.
The
Let's talk about it. I mean, I was going to ask the question, like, I presume you've seen the prop and stuff. I wanted your review on the fee, so maybe you want to touch on that. Go for it, George.
yeah, no, I think it's like I think that like there's a bit of a oh, I think two camps. The camp of users and a camp of like validators. They're sort of at odds with each other, right? The validators and to a smaller part, some of the stakers are going to want higher fees because that means higher staking rewards, right? But at the same time, if the fees are too high, I think that's going to like make the developers a little skittish to even build an app on Juno because is that going to, upset users? I mean, look at all the drama that Archway has had with their super high fees, which, in my opinion, I think are even higher than Juno's. So it's like
Yeah,
there has to be a balance that
yeah,
needs to be struck because if like why would a developer build something on Juno when their users are being charged really high fees for interacting with their smart contracts? Um,
But is
mhm.
it really high fees though?
Yeah.
Like it's still low fees.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah,
It's like we're spoiled here in the cosmos. We've not even filled the block space yet. Do you know what I mean? And it's like we're complaining about fees. It's like
well, that's the point, but
I
that's a
came from
good
the
point.
Ethereum world. Do
Right,
you know
but
what I
that's a good
mean?
point.
I came
Like
from the
if the
Ethereum
block
world.
space, right. If the block space
Yeah.
is not even filled up, why are fees being raised? Like that seems like, a solution to a problem that's not even there.
Yeah.
No, because like Juno
Maybe.
itself needs to have some way. Oh, please go ahead.
Yes, I get you, Kaku. Like that's what I was going to touch on. Because in a way, the fees are low already, right? And we've not filled the block space. We need the block space filled up so we can start sort of getting the chain more sustainability. At the moment, it's pretty much for free, and I think that's why the prop was raised to try and, because Juno was like, what was it? It's at 0.007 for a transaction. Do you know what I mean? It was like not even a cent.
Sure,
Um,
but then the fees jump like 100x. Like I get that, but like you need to
what are they
like
now?
I think that like you grow the pie by like attracting
Yeah.
users, not by making it more expensive to transact on the network. But that's just my opinion.
Yes.
But it's still so incredibly cheap to interact. Like I don't get the outrage over like it's like 100% or it's 100 times growth. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it went from like a tiny like a millionth of a penny to being like a 10,000th of a penny, right? Like the amounts that we're talking about are like so small.
It,
Juno needs to put itself in a position where it can benefit from more activity happening on
yeah.
the chain. Otherwise, like Juno itself has no incentivization, no ability to like continue to grow itself as
Yeah.
more projects come. So like
Again, the growth should
uh
be coming from more users and more devs on the network, not from a higher fee. Like that's just my
but
Yeah.
though that is equivalent to saying that like your new restaurant should give away all the food for free until all the seats are sold out. It like just doesn't
no,
make
because there
sense.
was already a fee in place prior to the fee being upped. So that
Yeah.
makes no sense.
I think the point of
Yeah, we
increasing
don't
it
need to turn
higher.
this into a debate today, but
This is good, man. I like it. This is great stuff. I wanted to ask as well, like, but you have the fee share module, okay? So aren't the developers like, well, yeah, that's cool. Fees are high, but everybody uses your smart contract, so we can get 50% back on the fees on that anyway.
Sure.
There
Sure.
was that.
That makes sense. Sure.
And the other point is,
yeah.
what
Go
we
ahead.
want to try and do is change a bit of governance structure here in Juno, right? I was chatting to Jake about this. The vision is great. We want to start implementing other things to change. Like we don't have to vote on every little parameter change on chain. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully things will improve that way. Which things are coming? I don't want to share quite yet what the ideas are, but it's pretty cool, man. We're going to do some cool stuff on that. So yeah, thanks for the feedback. By the way, it's honest answers are more than welcomed here. More than welcomed. like I say, I'm in the camp of Kaku. I don't think it's. I do understand what you're saying, George. If he went from here to here very quickly, and I did like the idea of building that up a little bit, but then I spoke to Reese about that, and Reese is like, well, it's like a shitload of like complicated things we need to keep on going through governance proposals, and then we have to increase each time, and there's an upgrade each time, and it's just like there's a lot going on. Just fucking implement it to what it needs to be, and that's it. And I know Gelato were a bit pissed off with it as well, but the way I see it, we voted abstain on it, our validator, but the way we see it is, well, why didn't you voice concerns during the prop at the beginning then when it was to go up on vote, and why didn't you like talk to people and try and vote it down or whatever? But who knows, man? You know, I mean, I'm not a developer on it, and yeah, I hear both sides of the story. Can you give us any info on an ETA on your outposts or stuff? I know you touched on like you got 4 out of the 5 smart contracts there. You got to build the front end. Are you going to see Q3, Q4, or next year? How you've like? What's your vision on timeline? I'm not trying to get a date out yet.
You've no, you've inadvertently stumbled on like such a hot topic. This is like getting this out as soon as possible. I think is like literally our number one priority. So the timeline is weeks, potentially a couple months, but no longer than that.
Oh, wow, that's good. Very good.
Yeah.
And we have some grafters here in the interchain. I like that. Very good stuff. Okay, so if there's any closing remarks you want to add, and is there anything else you would like to share? If not, then please give us some information on the best place to get in contact with you. Would that be either Twitter, Discord, whatever? We know the website because we've shared it. And if there's any other information you'd like to share here.
Yeah, I'll just add one thing. We know about Juno. I've used Wind. I was using the raw pools. I already forget the name of that all that stuff. But I don't know everything, right? I've checked out Gelato, right? I don't Marble even. I don't know everything on Juno. We don't know everything on Juno. We have the entire interchain to sort of look over and whatnot. So if there are projects and things that you want to see us support within the Yieldmos platform, come talk to us. Come tell us. Come make suggestions and recommendations. And the best way to reach out to us is either Twitter, Discord, or Telegram. We have all 3 of those links at the bottom left of our website.
Cool. And we'll add that, you'll find that in the description below on this video as well. Okay, so Kaku, George, thanks for coming on and giving us an update on Yieldmos. I know it's been a bit of time trying to organise it, but we got there. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming on. And thanks for the community for tuning in to another episode of The Inside Scoop. We will see you guys in and around the interchain, and we'll catch up again when we see some Juno outposts, man. I'm excited for that.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're very welcome, guys. Take care and have a great day.
You too.